Hi everyone, it's Adrienne from FE3 Integrated Fitness, and I'm here today with Anastasia, and we're going to talk a little bit about strength training for women, strength training in general, how it's impacted our lives as coaches and in our personal lives as well. So just kind of sharing some information with you, and if you guys like this and have any questions or anything pertaining to anything we talk about, feel free to leave a question or comment at the bottom and we will get back to you as soon as we can. And if there's anything else you'd like to hear after this video is done or more on what we talk about, then please let us know and we'll do this all over again. So Anastasia, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So you are in Michigan.
Yes.
And you have your own gym.
Yes.
Okay, and Strength for Life?
Strength for Health.
Strength for Health, sorry about that, Strength for Health. And you've been a strength coach for how long now?
2 years.
2 years, okay. So I guess let's talk about how you got into fitness from the very beginning. So you're from Russia?
Yes, I'm from Russia. So I grew up in Russia, and there's a lot of special schools in Russia where athletes train. I didn't get to go to any of those schools. However, I always wanted to be an athlete. So in Russia, as I was growing up, I had some health issues, and I never got to be an athlete that I wanted to be. But as a result of health issues, I gained a lot of weight. So I was obese as a teenager, and with that came a lot of trouble because kids used to make fun of me and things like that, which impacted my self-esteem a lot. At the same time, I knew I was always capable, but I was of the opinion that if you don't train from your from childhood as an athlete, you cannot really go and do that. I didn't realize, for example, that you can actually gain muscle mass. To me, that was a revelation, and honestly, I always tell people now that I wish I knew what I know now when I was at least 25 years old, that I should have started a lot earlier with that. So I have gone through phases of thin and heavy and things like that, but again, I didn't realize that you could actually train seriously. Later on, as I came here, I got married and I had 2 children. In between those things, I would lose a few pounds and get in better shape, but then life kind of took over and I would gain all the weight back again. And when I was 38 years old, I really decided that right now is the time to get in shape, because I didn't want to lose weight when I was older in life, because I felt like I will be losing all this time to be in good shape. So I started doing different online programs, following them, not always following the diets or anything. And I think the best thing that happened to me was I discovered a program that was bodybuilding based program. And I decided that I'm gonna calculate my food, I'm gonna be so obsessive about it, I will eat exactly like they tell me, I will train exactly like they tell me. And you know what? In 3 months, I was so amazed. I started getting muscle mass. I started getting definition. And this was like a light bulb went on. I was like, why nobody told me this? How is this possible? Because I've done all kinds of cardio-based programs, this and that. I realized I was under-eating. I was doing really stupid things. Yes, I had results, but not exactly what I wanted. And that kind of opened my eyes. After a while doing those programs, I realized I grew out of the weights that I could possibly have at home. So reluctantly, I got myself into the gym. So things, one thing after another. After a while, I started following some people. For example, Charles Poliquin was one of the people I started following, and he invited me to one of his seminars, and that's how I got to meet all these wonderful people like Adrienne. So basically, that's how I got into this whole different way of lifting weights even.
Yeah.
At the same time, when you start following one person, then they know somebody else, and that also led me to Olympic weightlifting. So, and that's a sport, and I guess that makes me an athlete now, right? Because,
high five, yes. For all those years.
Yes, exactly. So that was a biggest, I guess, result of all my searchings.
Well, yeah, because you actually just competed in Arnold even through COVID.
Yes,
you actually
exactly.
competed.
It was so funny because I lucked out because when all the stuff started, I was really worried that they were gonna cancel it. But luckily they canceled the spectators, but they allowed people to compete, and it was fine. The audience seemed to be pretty packed, even though from people who were competing, I guess.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Yeah, because they did allow coaches in, so that helped too. You had to,
correct.
You paid for that, but that was
Yes.
okay. But yeah, I mean, but again, you still got to compete. And even though, there was no spectators, that really doesn't matter because if any records were recorded and numbers were recorded, so you actually competed as an athlete.
Correct.
That's awesome. And you're how old?
I'm 45.
Competing at the Arnold.
Yep.
Like, I love
Exactly.
that. I think you hit on, for a second there, about online training and finding a good program and how that took you into the gym and everything. Do you think that doing just online training is as beneficiary, or do you think there's a point that you outgrow that, or even it's not always the best way for someone to start off? What is your thoughts?
You know what? I hear a lot from people. They say, well, let me do things on my own, and then maybe I'll get to the gym, and maybe then I get a coach. Honestly, there are some people who could probably follow, but you have to be really certain mindset. You have to be really paying attention and things like that. And I know I have done things wrong, okay? There's certain things I haven't learned until later, which I'm sure I wasted time. So I feel like you have to get a good coach to actually get you started. I think it's easier to do stuff on your own later as opposed to in the beginning. So I think that's the mistake most people make, is that they think that they'll do stuff on their own, and a lot of the times they either injure themselves or they develop completely incorrect movement patterns and things like that, which is so difficult then to get rid of and reteach the brain and everything. So I would personally start with a trainer.
Yeah, it's they say it's 300 reps to learn it, 5,000 to correct bad form. So when I hear people that are like, oh, let me get in shape first, or let me go to the gym and do it first, and I'm like, please don't, because you're gonna spend 3 months with me undoing all the things that you've done. Not to mention if they had an injury as a kid, like maybe I have a guy that played football as a kid, or played soccer as a kid, or a woman who played tennis as a kid, or whatever, golf and tennis, that's the worst, the rotational. To undo a rotational pattern is insane, because it's all the internal spiral lines, it's all the musculature, and you swing constantly to the same side. It's like when I did my junior Olympic figure skaters, it was like, how many jumps do you do in a day in the same side? And I have to undo that to keep them straight. Oh, it was crazy. So to me, I'm the same, and I'm like that with everything I do. It's like, if I don't know about it, just give me the best person that knows about it so that I can learn right from the beginning how to do it.
Correct. Exactly.
And I think, yes, I get results from clients, online also, but it depends on how educated they are prior to me working with them online, right? So if they've been training, they're we'll call it a higher level of a trainee or athlete, they definitely get those results faster than if I've had someone that's never worked out before.
Well, here's another thing that I want to bring up, is that there's a lot of people, like I train regular people, and some had either prior training, some are more capable, some are less, but what I have been finding that people who haven't trained a lot, they have a lot of compensation in different stuff. They think they're training one thing, but they're training something else completely, and they're not even aware that the muscle that they're supposed to be training even exists in their body. So it's not about whether, how capable you are. Sometimes you don't even know how to send the signal there in order to even have it come on, and people get amazed when you start directing them how to do certain things. They're like, oh, I didn't realize I even had it there. So now imagine this person gets a program online and goes and starts doing it. So I don't know what they're gonna do.
Right.
So
well, and that's one of the things a lot of, especially the guys, they'll be like, you change one tiny angle of something and it completely changes the way I've worked out. But again, that's what allows them to get those results that they couldn't get before, because you're actually training that. You're actually getting the brain to work differently, but you're it's like, if you're doing a bicep curl, do a bicep curl. Don't do a shoulder raise. I don't understand why my shoulder hurts, because you keep front raising that bicep curl. Stop. And again, getting them to feel it. It's the same with nutrition, right? I hate it when people, you know, I tried this program, I tried that diet program, it didn't work for me. Well, no, because it wasn't designed for you. It was designed, and then they found people to fit it.
Correct.
You know?
So that's the program is most successful for. Correct.
Yes. And the nice thing is that they found somebody for it to work for, but the bad thing is it didn't work for you. Mm-hmm. The other thing is nothing works forever. Mm-hmm. So if you don't realize that maybe in the wintertime you eat this way, but in the summertime you have to eat this way because that's the way the gut biome changes, mm-hmm. it doesn't work. The other thing is I will tell you for my own personal self is that what I ate 2 years ago is not how I eat now. How I ate 6 months ago is not how I eat now, right? Yep. Because the body adapts, your gut biome changes mm-hmm. due to seasonal things. What you eat changes it, and what you put in it changes. You know, stress levels can change it, which means you have to alter your food program because your stress is too high. And I think that's something that we don't think about. And with everything that's going on right now in society, and so many moms are dealing with, they're working from home now. They have their kids, they're schooling from home. Thank God right now they don't, but they did. But now the kids are home all day. You know, you really can't take them anywhere. You can't do much with them. Mm-hmm. Even though it's nice outside, they still can't. So they're dealing with so much stress on so many other levels. So even if you're eating the same way that did work for you then, it's not working for you now. Right. You know? And we're not even getting into the hormone aspect of it at all.
I know. It's like sometimes people say, well, I don't know why I need to change now, but I used to do that back then and it was fine. Sure. And I'm like, well, that's not even a good logic to go by.
And it's the same with men, more so than women. And maybe women do it too. They find a little program online that they follow, and they go to the gym and they do it. And at first, you know, they get these great results and then it plateaus. Well, it does because adaptation, right? Your body already knows what's coming. The other thing is, what did you change about that program? Are you still doing the same number of sets, the same reps with the same 5 to 10 pound dumbbells? Yeah. It's not going to make a difference anymore. Correct. You have to change it. Correct. You know, and I always call it the Sparta effect. Mm-hmm. You know, like how they trained the guys for the Spartan movie. It was like they didn't do anything, so of course they got great results. It's like, listen, if you've never done anything, I can have you come and pick up the dumbbell, put the dumbbell on the floor, mm-hmm. pick up the dumbbell, and guess what? I'm going to get results. Yeah. Because you've never done that before. Mm-hmm. Correct. But after about 3 to 4 weeks, that's not going to work anymore, right? Mm-hmm. And it's the same with food. So I think, I feel the same way about online programs. I think the better educated you are, the better the online programs will work for you. But if you're a newbie, I feel like in order to really get a good solid base, you need to be in a gym with a coach, a good coach, I would hope. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned a little bit on how you were impacted also by training, by bodybuilding style, and you had seen how the muscles change, your body shape changed versus the cardio you were doing, correct. Right?
Yes.
So in what other ways did you realize that you were able to change it, and where did your education even take you as far as, like you said, you were sick when you were younger and some things you dealt with? How did you piece all that together?
Oh, my story is kind of very long, I guess, but a lot of times I had a lot of health issues when I was, like I said, when I was 38, 37, 38, and I went to different doctors, and they gave me just hormone pills, whatever, you just do that. And I'm like, so how long am I supposed to take this? Like, when am I going to be better? They're like, oh, no, you just take it for the rest of your life.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, well, that's not going to work for me, okay? So can you find out what's wrong with me? Mm-hmm. They're like, no, just take this, like take brand name medication, whatever. And I was like, okay, this is not my thing. I'm going to go and I'm going to research everything. I'm going to read everything I could ever find, and I'm gonna try every single thing, because maybe one thing won't work for me, but I will find whatever will work for me. Because at that point I was in such bad shape, I couldn't actually get off the couch. I would I would come home, I would sit on the couch, and I felt like someone put a sack of potatoes on top of me, and I just, you know, just couldn't do anything. Nothing hurt, I just couldn't do anything. So eventually I found a practitioner who helped me, and even later on I decided I was going to get my own education, and actually that started again with attending one of the Charles' seminars. He sort of opened a whole, I guess, can of worms of what is there to learn. And it's kind of like someone gives you this one idea, and then you like kind of take it from there. So ever since then, I got education as a functional health practitioner, and I attended multiple courses with Charles as well as other things, and studied blood chemistry. And so now I try to keep educated and not only help myself, but try to help other people with what I know.
Yeah, that's crazy how we each have our own story, and it's so funny how it all seems to come back to Charles. You know, the world's best strength coach, and yet and still he taught us about mindfulness, and he taught us about nutrition and gut health, and he taught us about brain health. Oh God, brain health. Him and his brain, right? Love him for that. Love him for that. But it's crazy how we tend to seek out those people that have those answers for us, and then how we take it amongst ourselves to continue to learn and do things. As coaches, I mean, that's what we do. You know, I like to have answers for my clients. I like to have answers that nobody else can have. But like you said, what's going to make me better, and how long am I going to be on this, right?
Yeah.
That I think is key, because we go to the doctors, and no offense to doctors, but they're not looking at the why. Right? The why. And I think that's important. Your why, know your why. Know your why for everything you do. Why you feel a certain way, why you don't feel a certain way. Why do you want to look this way? Why do you not want to look this way? You know, why do you decide to eat the way that you do? Why do you feel the way that you do? Why? When you start looking at your why, you know, you start to get into the symptoms are just there to teach you about the system malfunction.
Well, correct. It's kind of, you know, there's a classic way of putting it, is that, for example, when your engine light bulb comes on, okay, you take it to a mechanic, okay, like would be a doctor, and let's say they look at you and they're like, well, you know, we can't figure out what this light is on. But if it's bothering you, why don't we switch it off? And that's what they do by giving you medication, okay? Yeah. But what if by the time you drive somewhere, it just breaks down all of a sudden because people missed what happened? So the same thing with your body. A lot of the time symptoms are simply there to raise the red flag. So getting rid of the symptom is not going to help you, because your body will find new ways of alerting you, which means it will start manifesting in all other areas, trying to raise the flag. So you will end up on, let's say, more medication, yet you're not feeling any better.
Right. That's huge. Yeah. Huge. And it's a good scenario, because I think mechanics actually have to find the system disorder instead of the symptom. Correct. And medical doctors don't do that. So yes, exactly. That was a great scenario. Great. Okay, so you've been coaching now for a few years. You have your own facility. Let's talk about how you, like, what have you seen, and how have you seen weight training affect different clients of yours?
I think it has a profound effect. For example, I had a client that was very timid starting any weight training. She actually never did weight training. She only did walking, maybe a little bit of yoga. She was super intimidated coming into the gym. And my goal was to make her love it. So that's what my goal is with every client. And I believe the way you train people is you get them to experience that feeling of accomplishment. And the great thing is that it translates into other areas of life. Because, you know, to start a successful pattern, you actually have to make people be successful. So when they're successful with one thing, kind of like Charles said, success breeds success. Yeah. So that's exactly what happens. You make them successful in one area, and it carries through their whole life. So this particular client, I was very excited for her, because she had a very stressful corporate job, and she was very timid about a lot of things in her life. But through weight training, she said it helped her. Every time she had to do something difficult, she heard my words, just do it, it's nothing, you know. And that's what carried her through your whole life, through her life at work, and pushed her into opening her own business and making like a huge life change, because she felt empowered. It's kind of like, if I can do that, because for her to be able to lift weights was a huge accomplishment that was completely intimidated, and she did that. And that set her up for a completely changing course of her life. That's crazy. Yeah. So,
I have a client similar. She's very great at work. She runs everything. She climbs through the company really fast, but as long as she's working at home. She doesn't like to be in the office. Okay. because she's very introverted, but it's because she's not happy with the way she looks. And when she first came here, she didn't want anything to do with it, didn't want to be bothered with it. And it went from just working with her with nutrition and having her come in to do the MA and to kind of see where her body was changing and the benefits of the nutrition plan. Slowly but surely, you know, she's like, well, what do you think about me coming in here? And I'm like, yeah, you should. And I'm like, when you're ready. So a couple weeks went by, long story short, she started coming in here, and she's been coming in only a few weeks now, and she's like, the symptoms of my depression are going away already. You know, and the thing about it is she's strong. And so I think it was the same thing with her, was getting her to realize. It was so funny. She goes, I remember she's curling and she goes, you know, I've never done these before. And she's talking the whole time, and I'm like, that's a 15-pound dumbbell you just did about 20 reps with. Like, that's pretty impressive for somebody who's never been in a gym before, okay? Yeah. And I'm like, okay. I was like, so you're strong.
So a lot of the times I feel that people actually have the strength. I always, when I give someone, let's say, a trial workout or whatever, when I get them to lift something that they never thought they could lift, because I know they're strong enough, but a lot of the times they just have that block in their mind. Oh, no, just give me 5-pound dumbbells. Like, let me do. They're super intimidated. But once you get them, let's say, to bench press like 20 pounds, like on the first session, and they're actually doing it, and they feel that those muscles work, I think it's such a brain rush. Like, they get that really, like, they become super happy.
Yeah.
For so many different reasons. And they're like, oh, I didn't even know I could do that. All of a sudden, that empowers them completely. They're like, well, maybe I should do that. Like, what else can I do?
Yeah.
You know, so it becomes a whole total motivator.
Well, and Charles was always, you know, you're not a good coach if you can't get somebody to do 12 pull-ups in 12 weeks, right? So, you know, I get women that come in here in their 40s, their 50s, their 60s even. And I'm like, all right, we're going to work on pull-ups. And they're like, what? Like, women don't do pull-ups. I'm like, girl, watch. And when they start doing, I mean, even if their very first one that they do completely on their own, I mean, they're like, oh my God. And then like every session after that is completely different, right?
Yep.
Or getting them to pull a bar. Like, oh, you know, I can't deadlift. And you know, so you start them with 45 pounds so they get used to just the bar. You add the 10s. Now they're doing 95 pounds. Now they're doing 115. And it's crazy.
And then, you know, it's funny how something they hated before.
Yes, they love it now.
They all of a sudden love it, because I was like, well, like, if you don't put it in their program, it's kind of, well, where's that? Like, I wanted to do that.
Yes.
I would be like, no, well, we got to do some other stuff right now. But the point is, when you feel successful, you want to do more stuff.
Well, and I had another girl that came to me, and she had trainers before. She had a few trainers before. She was doing every cardio. She did boxing classes. She did cardio group classes in certain facilities around here, and she never got anywhere. So I brought her in here, and I was like, no cardio. She would run a mile or two with her dog every day on top of that. And I was like, no cardio. We're taking it. There's no cardio in my gym. You're not going to pay me to stand there and watch you on a treadmill.
Correct.
Sorry. So I took it all out, all of it. She lost 60 pounds in less than 6 months.
Wow.
She's lost 85 pounds now total. And it's so funny. People are like, oh, you want to do some cardio with me? She's like, no, I only lift heavy. And it's like, okay, that's all it took. You know, that's all she needed was to de-stress her body. And being insulin resistant, she needed that muscle mass. She needed that muscle to help her, right? And I think that's one thing that women, especially, but anybody doesn't realize is your longevity of life, the health of your life, and how well you will live your life comes from the amount of muscle mass and the quality, the health of your muscle mass. And of your muscle. It's an organ, right?
Yes.
So people don't think of it that way, but I think that's super, super important for people to understand for sure.
Well, the thing is that it's so important for women. You know, I always when I talk to women and they tell me, well, you know, after 40 or after 30, my metabolism went down, blah, blah, blah. So I try to explain to them that actually the problem is that when you're in your 20s, your hormones alone can maintain your muscle mass. So as you get older, it's not that your what do you think metabolism is? You started losing muscle mass because you didn't do anything and you know, that's what happens. So if you raise your muscle mass, your metabolism is going to be just fine because you will have what you had before. Yes, it is work involved because to keep muscle, it's a lot of work for the body. But the point is, it's not that metabolism all of a sudden changed, like it's your body has changed. And with the body went the metabolism. So let's fix that, and then you don't have to be on starvation diets and do crazy cardio.
Exactly. And we're going to insert here, now that you brought that up, a little education. So what changes is they don't work out the way that they should. They don't lift weights. They're doing cardio. They're chasing that. And now they want to eat more because they're tired. So now they want more sugar. They can't do the sugar. They're insulin resistant. The other thing is insulin. When we put insulin in our bodies, for some people, it stops fat burning for up to 4 hours. People eat every couple of hours. God forbid she's bored at work or he's bored at work. Or the worst is now we're all at home. The refrigerator's right there. For me, I open it and I'm like, shit, there's meat and kale. Great. I don't feel like eating that again, you know? But for other people, especially if they have children, like my children did not grow up with having sweets and stuff in the house. We didn't have that. So they're not used to that either. But they buy it for the kids, so they get up because they're bored. They go to the refrigerator. They've been sitting in that computer. Their brain is a mess. They're looking for that. And instead of raising your insulin or your serotonin levels, your dopamine, getting the acetylcholine going, they look for that sugar rush. That's going to do the same thing that exercise would. So now they're not burning fat. Now they're losing more muscle mass. Now their hormones are a mess, and then the liver's a mess, which is going to have to do with the hormones.
It's the whole thing.
And it's just like, just flush the toilet on your life. Really? Like but then they want to blame their age. They want to blame having children. They want to blame their work. They want to blame this or that. No. What have you done? Again, what is your why? Why did you make those choices? Why have you done that? What did you do? And it's the same whether someone has let's say a system disorder, we're going to use it that way, that we're dealing with as far as the gut, as far as the other organs of the body, as far as the brain, as far as depression, as far as, you know, all that. It's the same with your life. What got you here? Yes. You know? What did you change in your life? Okay, we went to college. Whoa. Right? Now you're drinking ways you didn't. That's an insulin spike. Okay? That's a gut issue. Now you're eating pizza all the time because that's the thing that you do in your 20s, you know, beer pizza kind of thing. Well, you're putting, you know, gluten in your system. So that's eating away your gut lining, okay? And then you got the hormonal. So it's like, no, trace your life back and you'll start to see where you made those mistakes, right? And now what you have to do to reverse what you've done.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, the funny part is, I find it interesting that people never look at their life as a progression.
No.
Okay? They always say, when I was 20 and I ate pizza, it was fine. Okay? Well, they don't realize that they set in motion certain chain of events that over time lead to this. They don't look at it as a progression. They look at it, well, I ate it back there and it was fine, and that doesn't work. The point is, this is where you kind of started wearing off.
Yes,
actually.
Yes. And then God forbid they were an athlete, and then there was some kind of concussion, or they hit their head, which, boom, targets the gut in 6 hours, right? And no one ever deals with that. No one ever deals with healing the brain, let alone the gut, okay? So yeah, again, that's a whole nother rabbit trail we're not going to get down. So let's say there's one piece of advice that you would give every person that you would ever encounter. Like, what's the one thing you even learned in your journey through your own life of being an athlete into being now a coach? Like, what's the one thing you can say, this is it right here?
Well, I always tell them to start now, okay? Because it's not going to be better in 5 months or whatever, it's more convenient, or when you're less stressed. In order to get less stressed, you should actually start now. Because the fact is that, let's say you know something's wrong and you're not starting, that's adding more stress. Okay, it's not gonna get any better. You start now, because my biggest regret was that I didn't start 20 years prior that I started. So that's my big advice.
Yeah, I think that's huge, and in my, we'll say, unbiased opinion, get a coach. Get a coach. Get a coach, because, you know, talking about at-home training and things like that. When COVID happened and we had to shut down the gyms for a little while, I didn't have to, thank God, but some of my clients had kids at home, their schedules changed, they had sick parents they were taking care of, so of course they wanted to stay at home, so I created at-home programs. And luckily for me, I have great systems from Charles that helped me show my clients what's going on with muscle mass versus body fat and how hormones are shifting and everything. And the people that worked out at home, and my workouts were not that easy at home, but I did create them with no gym equipment, okay? Body weight stuff. They didn't necessarily put on fat. And COVID actually, the average is 16 pounds is what people have put on over COVID. And that's up till today. So they did not necessarily put any body fat on because they were still doing the nutrition side of everything and eating correctly, but they lost muscle mass, right? Whereas the clients that were still in here lifting and using the gym equipment, they lost the body fat but gained the muscle mass during that time. So to me, like you said, definitely starting, but getting a coach, you know, I think
that's a big one.
Yeah.
Actually.
You know, I laugh and it's like, I can't go into a judge's chamber for the day and say, excuse me, judge, I'm here to be a judge for today. You know, I can't go into, you know, a lawyer's office and say, hi, I'm here to be a lawyer today. Move over. Well, but anybody can enter a gym and all of a sudden they're professionals.
I know. Well, you know, I'm very pro education. I love formal education. So I do believe that people can learn things on their own, but it's a lot faster and more efficient and actually cheaper in the long run to actually go to the expert and learn. And that's why attending a course, like I could be researching that stuff for years and not even know where to go. Yeah. But once you come to the right place, everything falls in place much faster and more efficient.
Absolutely. And I am a quality versus quantity person. And for me, I have no, listen, I want to see results from my workout that I'm going to do tomorrow, yesterday. Okay. Yeah. Like I want results now. And if I don't get them, I'm not happy. And that is regardless if it's a mental rush for me, if it's a muscle pump, if it's a weight that I wasn't able to lift, if it was getting in my I'm like, ooh, I get to be 4 pounds in me today. I'm going to cram off. You know, I mean, it's stupid little things, but it all equals my health, you know? And I think that that's also the other side effect of this, I guess you could say the side effect of getting a good coach, eating clean and healthy and lifting good and doing it safely is you look amazing. No. From the inside out, you look amazing. Health shows from the inside out. And when you're healthy, you just happen to look good. A good way, right? Yes. Because as humans, when we have not evolved, as Charles always said, in the last 80 years, let alone in my opinion, 200 years, we're not designed to be overweight. We're not designed to be unhealthy. We're not designed to eat food out of boxes. We're not designed to eat food that is handed through a drive-thru window. Okay, we're not.
Well, just to kind of add a little bit to this, what I have noticed when people come and start training, when you get them to use every muscle in their body for something, you realize that humans are made to move.
Yes, yes.
You know? Because that makes their brain feel so good. They leave happy.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a different feeling of accomplishment altogether. And you feel in control of your body. So it's, you know, nothing beats that.
Well, we're cavemen. Whether we like to really address it or look at it that way, let's get cut through the crap and really look at it. We're hunters and gatherers. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Unfortunately, now we sit, and I think it's going to get worse because I think this whole thing has shown a lot of businesses that they can save money by having people work from home. And it's just like you just sit in front of a computer all the time. That's the last thing we were meant to do. Our children are doing it more often. I know for me, it's like I never allowed my kids to have video games. You know, they were older before they got their phones. Like, I just, no, go move. And I love it that they don't sit at home ever. You know, they're gone all the time. They're always having to do something. And I love that that's instilled in them because I know I do. Whether you want to call it ADD or you just want to say we're active, however you want to look at it. Exactly. But again, it's that side effect of living a healthy lifestyle. You just look good. You know, I had a woman say to me the other day, I love it that you look like you do. You look so healthy. I couldn't do that. I love food too much. And I'm like, shit, me too. I love food. Like, I love food. It makes me so, it doesn't talk back and it satisfies me. I love it, you know? But what do I choose to eat? I think that's all. It comes down to choices. And regardless of everything else that's going on, you have your choice as to how you're going to live your life and how healthy you truly want to be. So I think it's amazing.
Well, I always say that trying to do best for you is actually self-love.
Yes, okay? Take care of yourself.
So why would you want to put poison in your body and not have your muscles and brain fit?
Yeah.
Okay. So I always encourage people to love themselves that way.
Well, and I'll tell you one other thing real quick is moms, stop having mommy guilt because you're going to the gym, right? Because I look at it this way. There's nobody to take care of my kids but me. If I get sick and I can't take care of them, who the hell's going to take care of me, let alone them? You know? Thank goodness they're older now, but you can't. You have to, as a mother, as a father, you have to be selfish. Because if you're not healthy and you're not in the right state, you snap at your kids, you're yelling at your kids get on your nerves more often.
And then you blame them for the state you're in. So then it's like a whole nother dysfunction. You know? But because of you, I can't go to the gym. It's kind of like, stop it, you know? Get some responsibility for your own actions.
Or the other one is, well, you know, I have to eat this way because my kids eat that way.
What?
No.
People say that?
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
So funny.
Well, I was making lunch for the kids, and so I just ate their frozen chicken tenders instead of making my food. Why didn't you just make your food and have your kids eat it? And what happens 9 times out of 10 is the kids, especially they're younger, see the mom or the dad eating healthier, and the next thing you know, I'm getting messages like, my son or daughter just asked me for a salad. That's never happened. Or my son or daughter just ate my lunch instead of theirs.
Wow, nice.
Kids want to eat that way, you know? So I can tell you a whole other story about that, but I won't get into it. But I think, again, it's a lifestyle. It's the way you choose to live. It's the food. Kids will not starve. They will not starve. They will gladly go and eat that food eventually. Sure, they're going to be stubborn about it. Their taste buds, if you have offered them processed food, because we know that industry, they pay scientists, you guys, to make that food taste like crack. Okay, it's super addicting and it tastes amazing because they hire people to make it taste that way. But my daughter, who never had any processed food, has never had fast food in her life, she can't even smell it. It makes her nauseous, you know, but I made her baby food.
Well, let me tell you this. When I first came to the United States, okay, I could not, well, I don't need it now, but back then I couldn't even smell the bread that they sell, you know, that Wonder Bread.
Yeast and sugar.
It's like some awful smell of it. Like, you know, I stayed with a host family or whatever, and I would open their pantry or whatever, because I was trying to find something to eat, just like a starving child. And I would be like, and I close it. I couldn't eat any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just smelled too bad for me.
And that is an instinctual quality that we have as humans to know when something is poisonous, right?
Exactly. So I'm like, okay, that's stuff. I don't know how to eat it.
Yes. So if it smells good, yeah, it's kind of scary. Like I don't find that stuff. I find it offensive. You know, even going into the movie theater and smelling that popcorn, it makes me nauseous. I can't stand it. So anyway, lifestyle, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So key things. Start sooner than later. You're gonna go backwards. You're gonna have bad days, you're gonna have good days, but the goal is to have more good days than bad days. Don't waste your time trying to guess on your own. Ask for help. However you do that, go find somebody, anybody. I don't really care. How would they get a hold of you if they want some more information from you?
You can go to strengthsforhealth.net. That's the website.
Okay.
And you can fill out a contact form and contact me.
Perfect. I love it. And you guys know how to get a hold of me. So thank you for joining us, and I hope you guys got something out of it as usual. Keep us posted. Let us know if you have any questions. Go ahead and comment below. If you think anybody that you know would benefit from hearing this, please share and let us know. Until next time.